8.5, letter of support for the High Prairie Red Wing Hockey Club. Can I get a motion on this one? Okay, I'll make a motion that council send a letter of support to the High Prairie Red Wing Hockey Club in their endeavor to increase the number of teams in their league. Councillor Gilroy.
To be honest, from all the to-do about when they came in, I don't think they've been here long enough for me to support this because of all the questions that were raised when they came in. That because it says basically if we send a letter of support that we are saying this is a great hockey league, we need more in here. That's my opinion about a letter of support. I think it's too early to do something like this for them. So I'd be voting against it.
Councillor Rose.
I think I could support this. I think that we did hear a lot of negativity, and we were very cautious going into any one relationship that we chose not to enter into a contract with them. We basically are renting the facility out to the hockey team, and right now they seem to be nicely filling a void in the area. The attendance is good at their games. People are enjoying having a hockey team to go and watch. I haven't heard any negativity, any challenges with billeting, any of their non-payments of rent, like all of the questions that they came in under a cloud of. Are they behind it all, Brian, in any?
No.
So I don't see why we wouldn't support them at this point.
Go ahead.
I thought they were getting close to burning all their deposit, and I phoned Derek, and he come in basically the next day, and I clarified it through our accounts payable, and they still had over a $2,000 credit in our system. So they weren't required. I told him when it gets closer in the new year that I'd give him a call, and he said that's fine. So.
Go ahead, Councillor Stenhouse.
So this is as far as it goes, it's just a letter of support. It's not going to be coming back to us for a contribution.
They can, but at this point all we're asking for is this.
Yeah, and that's where I want to be very clear on this, that because for my 2 years being on council, it starts with a letter of support, and now we want money to keep supporting it. You've already showed your support. I'm for it as long as that's as far as we're going is with the letter and not money involved.
I can say from talking with Derek is that it's a 3-team league and they want to expand our 4-team league and they want to grow it so that they're not playing each other all the time. So they're going to some new communities and seeing if they want to get involved. But as you know, there's controversy around some of the teams, and not necessarily this particular league, but similar leagues and teams that have been in other communities. And so what he's trying to do is say, yes, this team has been in our town for however long, and everything has been good at this point, and so that they can say to the other towns, yes, there was issues with other teams, other leagues, we've been okay. Here's one town that we're in, and they, there's no issues here at this time, so that they can go. I know one of the teams or one of the communities they're trying to get in is Fox Creek. So they're talking with Fox Creek about getting in, and they're talking to another 1 or 2 others so that they can get it up to a 6-team league kind of thing. That's their hope. Any other discussion on it? I mean, I haven't heard anything really negative from anybody yet. I don't know, has anybody else heard anything?
I heard their price, their admission prices are a little steep.
Yeah, and that's a business. You have to make your decisions, and they'll decide where they should be at. But it's been good to see their players out at Light Up, and they've been at some other community events and getting involved in the community. And I know they've been to one of the schools and stuff too. So they've been getting around and doing some stuff, which has been great. That's good for the community, good for the kids on the hockey team, and that part is good. Okay, no other discussions? All those in favor? Opposed? It is carried. We'll move on to administrations. So we're going to CAO vacation. Get a motion. Councillor Rose? Oh, did he? Oh, I didn't see that, sorry.
Just as long as your motion includes that he takes us with us.
Oh, yeah.
I may have forgot that part.
He's going hunting for moose in the Arctic cold.
I'm feeling warm air.
Yeah.
Take the cold air with you. You going moose hunting?
Yeah.
No. Right.
That council approved the CAO's request for vacation days from February 10th to February 26th, 2020.
Yeah. All right, any other discussion on it?
I tried.
Yeah.
I tried.
I tried, yeah.
You are trying, Andrew.
Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? It's carried.
You get to go.
Moving on to item 10.2, the numbering structure of the Town of High Prairie policies. Councillor Rose.
The council approved the proposed policy numbering structure. Can Brian
Okay,
talk to it?
Brian, do you want to speak to this one?
Figure to that one of the committee members. Did she bring this to you guys?
I'm not on ready, you guys got me off it.
So I don't have a.
Anyways, we found that the numbering system that we have for our current policies is kind of out of whack right now, so with some rescinded policies and that, so this will clean it all up. And what Marion has basically figured out is that she will combine all the policies for each department. Ones that pertain to everybody will also be included, and she plans on giving binders to each appropriate group, so
Yeah, that makes sense.
lots of it is a cleanup.
Yeah.
And then moving forward, we'll keep in sequence with them numbers that she has proposed. So.
Sounds good.
Okay, anybody else want to speak on this one? Yep, policy memo, okay. All right, all those in favor? Carried. Moving on to, nothing on planning, we'll go to CAO report and action list. Get a motion on that one. Councillor Stenhouse.
The council received the CAO's Brian Martinson's report and action list for information.
Do you want to give us the highlights there, Brian?
As most of you know, the lights will be shut off on the Civic Square that tomorrow morning after the Ukrainian New Year tonight. So I asked Corinne to see if she could clean up the one item on our to-do list, and she's been checking with other municipalities trying to find the right samples and that she can bring back, and she's having difficulty in finding that. I don't even know if there is any, so, but I'm going to check with municipal affairs and their bylaw people, but she's had no luck as of today, so.
All right, any questions for our CEO? Councillor Danaka.
Where are we with the roof?
The contractor said that they were gonna be here on the 15th, which would be in 2 days.
So that's tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah, so, and I can't see them coming in this cold weather, so I'm hopefully I'll drop them another email tomorrow and say, hope to see you here on Monday morning. He still assured me that the cold weather or winter working is not a problem, but we'll see. Yeah, they guarantee their work, so they're gonna be.
You just have to do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, is he serious about this contract? Like, is he gonna come in and actually?
He
do
said
it?
they just got behind so bad last year and with the weather that they had.
Okay, anything else? No, Councillor Rose had her hand up first, and then Councillor Gilroy.
Where are we with the municipal website?
I'm doing updates right now, and I'm hoping within the next few weeks it'll be up. We're just working on a couple things, and then I'm going to tell them to start doing it, and then I can finish any updates after if I need to. It's almost done.
There is still some information we have to put in there from the recreation department, so.
I was working on that today.
And did you, speaking of the website, any luck on getting that, what was the name, that
It's
business
on there.
site on there? Oh,
Yeah.
they did get
Yeah.
in touch with them and they got it on?
It's on there.
Good,
Yeah.
good. Okay, other questions that you're done? Councillor Gilroy? Yeah.
This has to do, since we're talking about the roof, with the gymnastics studio. When can they look forward to being fully usable with all the repairs done? Because when I was in there, as I said, there was some things there that were not strictly just regular roof, and there are some concerns that were brought up. Secondly, are we going to be inviting the gymnastics director back so that we can find out from her what she thinks of what's happening?
Go ahead.
I asked Rick to measure out an area and the entranceway up to the matting and that, so that he could put in some of this drop and done and have it glued down. So I asked him for costs to that. He said some of the roofing tiles, they would have to remove the matting and that to get up there because the roof is so high, so they gotta use scaffolding. So some of the areas that have to be done is over some of the equipment that is chained down, tightened down with tighteners and that. So he asked the instructor, I think his name is George, little short guy, Polish guy, something. Anyways, he asked him if he would, because Rick didn't want to have the responsibility of taking them off and then something going wrong. And so he asked him if he would remove them and then he would set up the scaffolding and replace ceiling tiles. But I told Rick not to change the roof out and install a new drywall until the roof is repaired. There's no use putting it up and then it leaks in the meantime, and these contractors don't get in, and we're ripping down drywall and creating a new expense to have to purchase new drywall in time for the staff to put it up. The staff will be doing the work, so on their days that they're there at the rink. So.
Okay, other questions for our CEO? Don't see anything else then. Okay, we have a motion to receive his report for information. All those in favor? It's carried. Go on to our FCSS yearly stats. Councillor Long.
Council receives the 2019 FCSS yearly stats for information.
Okay. Any questions or comments on these stats? Councillor Stenhouse is just chomping at the bit to answer anything that you've got for
That's
her on
right,
these.
but I'm laughing at the font here. You can barely read this.
From this big to that big.
Exactly.
I like that.
But the font is funny too, because the letters are, they're not evenly spaced. Like some of them are cramped and some of them aren't. It's like, why is that? Yeah. Hold it. We got a question from our CAO.
Is this report created by Nicole or is this by Nancy? You know?
Oh, no, I think this one was put in by Cory.
I don't know, this is Nancy's report though, so it's not just the town, I don't.
Oh, this is county, so this is Nicole.
They said they were gonna make a change. We were talking about clarity and making their reporting a little bit clear, more understandable. But I must have missed something because I don't think I saw this before. Do you have anything to say about it, Judy? Like, were you part of any conversation about this format?
But I just do know that the numbers have gone up. They've dramatically gone up for assistance through FCSS. I do know that.
Yeah, and we asked about that last time, and it was a matter of two things. One is they were counting a little bit differently, you had mentioned, and number two, that there was some more traffic there too. Councillor Gilroy?
So, with the number, and we do have some seniors moving in from the county into the town, does that mean that their cases would be transferred to the town? So then, that would also account for,
That happens ongoing, right?
okay.
That's sort of the way
Yeah.
High Prairie, they start living here in apartments and they move out into an acreage and then they move back into seniors housing or, so we do end up, the seniors are usually in our numbers.
It would be good, I guess, as well, if, I don't know if this sounds bad or not, but it would also be good to know if there's a percentage here that are also our First Nation and Métis friends, because it also would justify as well the kind of involvement we're saying they're having in our community. I don't know if they can say it that way or not, but it would be interesting at least to know what percentage are, so that we can, once again, justify what kind of traffic we have in our town.
I disagree with you.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I disagree with you, Brian, because this is a community thing, and you talked about bringing us all together and working together, and now you want to segregate and say, well, how many are using this and how many are using that? It's a community. It's a community service. Everyone is accounted for as a whole, and that's what I was getting back to before. Is how are we doing this as a community thing, not segregating who's using what? Because there is more than our Indigenous members in this community. We have Filipinos, we have...
But it would also help us.
How,
It would also help us in a sense.
How would that help?
It would also
by
help us
segregating?
when we are going to the provincial government to say that we are very intertwined with our neighbors. To say, and we also are in this area, and this area, we are greatly involved. It builds our case to get more support from the government is all I'm looking at. If it's a FOIP issue, that's fine. I'm just putting it out there.
Councillor Long?
It's not a FOIP issue. It's, if we were to do that, I could see it being easily misconstrued from our neighbors that we are trying to identify how many Métis, identify how many First Nations, so that not just to the government, but we can go back to them and say, hey, your people are using this much of our services, you should be kicking in some funds. And that's not fair.
Point well taken.
And so yeah, I think that Councillor Stenhouse right on the money. This is a community organization to help all of those people in our community regardless. regardless of the race, color, creed.
Oh, we have a new one. Go ahead, Nancy.
I was just gonna let you guys know that since the reports have changed, it's Nicole that sends them to me. I don't know if they come from someone else, but that's who I get them from now, because I used to get them from Nancy all the time. Now I don't.
Okay, any other questions about the report? We have a motion to receive for information. All those in favor? Carried. Moving on to our written and verbal reports. We'll start with Councillor Danaka.
No report.
Councillor Gilroy.
I think it's just a couple, and one was broadband, which we've already talked about. We do have, there's two other things that we've been involved in. Since it was mentioned about the chamber will be picking up or since I helped with this, be picking up the petitions that were put around the town, and it was thankful. There was a lot of places in town that would accept it. To the petition being the one about the demolition of the old hospital. And so we're looking forward to finding the stats. When we find out about that, I'll let you guys, I will let the council know, not you guys, the council know, because I want to be more respectful. As well, I'm looking forward to our telephone meeting that hopefully will work to support the entire community. I know it sounds like it's a lot toward one clinic versus the other, but that's not the way I look at it. The way I look at it is we need to have any doctor who's qualified by the College of Physicians and Surgeons to have full access to everything they need to fulfill their occupation. Not go beyond it, but to be able to work within the scope, and that means hospital privileges as well. So I'm looking forward to finding out what happens on Friday, I believe it is.
Yeah, and just to fill council in, if you're wondering where that's coming from, remember we approved the letter to go out to the minister. The minister did get back to me, and we're setting up a telephone meeting with him. We've got a representative from the, but I'm speaking from High Prairie Medical Clinic will be there. We'll have someone from the council, and then we'll be listening in and giving our feedback. And you can do it anywhere you want. Yeah. So just log into the number and away you go. So that's happening on Friday. Yeah. Anything else?
No, I had meetings, a number of meetings canceled. So the only other ones would be that will be talked about next time. So I move my verbal report for information.
Any questions for him? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Councillor Long?
Nothing. I do have a bylaw committee meeting coming up on Thursday, and I'll have a report for council next month, or next week, next council meeting.
Good. All of the above, yeah. It won't be next council meeting. Oh, yeah, it would be, yeah. Okay, my report had... Well, you didn't really report anything, though.
He did say something. So
Oh, okay. Okay, so go ahead and make a
I'm
motion.
standing up for you, okay? Standing up for you. I moved my report for
Okay. All in favor? Gary. Just going to go with some of the things that, because our last meeting was December 10th, right? So there's been lots of things, and I know some of them, but I'll just run through some. We've had dinner with the county. We had a Christmas dinner at Pleasant View Lodge. I had a Heart River housing meeting. I was on the radio promoting the food bank. We did a check presentation to the food bank, and the paper was there for that. We had the broadband meetings. So I did all of those over that period of time, but not a lot to report. Like the only thing really in there would be the Heart River Housing meeting, and there wasn't much at that particular meeting. The only thing we did agree to renew the contract with Slave Lake. Heart River Housing actually functions as the CAO for the Slave Lake Regional Housing Authority, and they have a contract with them to do that particular service for them. And so that was the big part of that meeting. And then because it was Christmas, there wasn't much else. So not a lot else there. But while I've got everybody, there was a couple of things that I'd like to mention. And one was we got an invite to, if council would like to go and tour the West Fraser Mill. Donna's invited us to go over there.
Come on down.
Yeah.
Just do it when it's warmer, because there's no heat in the building, so
Yeah.
it's going to be really cold.
So my question is, are we interested in going on a tour? I think it would be a great idea to
Great
see
last
it
year
there.
when I went.
So, as a council, do we want to go? Yeah. Okay. I'll see if we can get some times and go from there, and hopefully we can get it. Now, it would because I know we've got people that are working for parts of it. When would be a good time? Like right at 4:30-ish? Like I don't know.
Near future, like,
Well, in the next month, kind of thing.
oh,
Or do you want to do it
no,
later?
it doesn't matter.
Just time of the day for now.
Yeah, time of the day.
So does 4:30 work for most people, or
As long as I did it.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays are great for me.
Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Oh, okay. And after 4:30 or later works.
Thursday's the only day I got.
What's that?
Thursday's the only day I got.
wait till March maybe?
3 Tuesdays are here.
Okay.
And the way things are going.
Okay. Okay, I'll see what we can get set up, and we can wait. I'm sure there's no big rush. It was just an invite, so I said I'd bring it to council, get back to them. And I also just wanted to pass along our condolences to Chief Helcrow, who passed away just over the New Year. So it's
Last Saturday.
yeah, just one other thing that one of our neighbors and their leader has passed away as a hereditary chief. That's a big change that's there.
Do we need to make a motion to write a letter of condolence? Or do we just let admin do it and we'll?
No, well, if it's coming from council, it has to be a motion of council. But we could certainly write a
I was
letter.
making a motion. I think it's important that council. Is that your motion? Yes, but I'll wait till after you
Yeah.
finish this report before I make the motion.
Okay, that was it. Any questions on my report? Seeing none, I move my report for information. All those in favor?
Oh, sorry.
Opposed? I don't see any. Okay. And we have another motion. We can go, Councillor Gilroy, you want to make
Want to wait
it
till
now?
after the
Okay. Yeah, I
reports and
don't.
we'll do it?
Sure, we can do that. Councillor Portley is not here today. Councillor Rose.
So I've attached, well, not attached to the agenda, but I've provided a written report. That's my, you know what I realized afterwards? No name, it's just a guess, right? You guys are just guessing whose it is. So the 2 broadband meetings we've sort of reported on, so that's redundant. You guys don't really, you can review that if you're interested in some of those details. We had a recreation committee meeting yesterday, so I threw it on here because normally my report would be in for the next time. But so the committee was told about some of the HVAC challenges that we're having at the pool. Brian and Gayla are trying to work through that now. They're struggling to keep the doors open, quite honestly, because the 2 exit doors on the pool deck with all the humidity and the challenges to the system, and just the fact that we've got this extreme cold, is they're freezing over, and it's difficult for them. They're working diligently to.
It's happening at JD Wood as well.
That's it. So I mean, we did address it at the recreation meeting. We did talk about maybe getting a quote, having Brian work and at getting a quote with Gala on potentially maybe a double door situation, or heaters, fans, something. But having said that, and I mean, I know that we feel like there's always something that goes wrong. There's always something with the pool. I mean, there's always challenges. I just watched a posting on Facebook from Greenview. Their Recplex is closed today and tomorrow because of extreme cold and maintenance issues. So they could be experiencing the same type of thing, and it's a brand new facility. So it may just be one of those things that a week, a year, because it drops down to -30, we have some challenges there. There was a review of the fees for the pool. I drew attention to some of the fees where there will be some changes. Nothing that's going to be really large, except for one of the things that I'll just draw your attention to. They're going to, because it may come out in conversation somewhere, regarding the joint use agreement. We have swimmers that come from the schools, and they're put into Red Cross lessons, and a form goes home to the parents, and that form comes back with whether they were in a lesson before or they weren't, and there's lots of challenges the staff is finding to be prepared for where that child is. So they have to reevaluate them. They have to reevaluate everyone. So they have to hire and bring in another guard in order to have the children evaluated properly. Otherwise, they're in lessons that are not appropriate. Some of them can't swim. Some of them are way well advanced because even though they're only on level 2, they've been swimming for years afterwards. And so anyway, we approved a lesson evaluation fee of $5 per person. That might not be in the school budget, so there may be some issues attached to that actual charge. There's a few other changes they made at the pool. One would be with having a new ratepayer verification form, and a cancellation, withdrawal, administration fee policy was added. The participation form, these were recommendations that came from Red Cross. They are following alongside what the recommendations are. One of the papers came to us, the participation form, and we didn't approve it yet. We sent it back for some changes. There was just a lot of liability issues that were attached to it, and we weren't. They sort of copied in other municipalities, which is great. I mean, don't reinvent the wheel. Go for somebody's already approved and appropriate form, but there still was a lot of liability issues, so we sent it back, and we're hoping to work on that a little bit more. The CAO proposed a change to the organizational chart, and taking out the position of rec director and adding a position entitled programmer at a part-time potential rate. But the committee asked for a job description, a job title, and the hours for the position before the decision's made. So that information will just be brought back. And then we did share some of the duties that we'd like to sort of see. So what would that position fill? And I'll just read you what I have here. And again, it was just sort of a quick conversation to make sure that everybody was sort of on the same page. The committee would like to see a position that focuses on the development of programming to enhance the use of all facilities, to add community programming, development of a corporate sponsorship program and a marketing opportunity, as well as offer marketing support to the aquatic and arena managers for existing and upcoming programs. The position would also look after the fundraising side of the Recreation Society and be the community liaison for new developments and programs, as provide grant writing support for the society and for recreation. The position could be responsible for the compilation of the recreation activities as part of the joint use agreement and manage social media and website for recreation. So those were sort of the areas where we were hoping to see that position focused, and Brian's going to work on job descriptions and bring it back to a committee. Then a recommendation will come to this council, and this council will have to make the decision on how that position looks. And then a recreation master plan was discussed, and Brian is working with MMSA on other things as well as pieces of recreation. And the two components that that the committee's looking at addressing first would be the completion of the arena, the walking trail or the connector piece, getting that connector finished up, and potentially upgrading JC Park, which we looked at before. We looked at that with the Canada 150 situation, and we're taking a look at trying to bring back that plan with the amphitheater and maybe some beach volleyball, and bring all those components to MMSA, see if they can create a document that we're happy with, we all approve. We can move that forward to the society, and then we can actually go to the community and say, here's some things that we've already approved, we've already got a plan in place, and anybody who's interested in becoming part of the bigger picture and being part of a committee to fundraise and spearhead which, a dog park or whatever piece we want to tackle, then we can make a plan to go forward. So that is my report, and if you don't have any questions, you can
Very
see it for
good.
information.
Councillor Stenhouse, Councillor Gilroy.
So quick.
Okay, with your fees, I'm preparing for our bylaw meeting on Thursday, and in the bylaw, those fees were presented to us, and I had some questions and discrepancies that I was saving for our bylaw meeting. So are these fees already put in place?
They were approved by the committee, and
They're operating off of
So why are they coming?
last year's fees right now.
Oh, so
This
these,
is proposal.
these are proposed fees that you guys look at.
okay, and then
So you're questioning
the fees, yes.
the fees. Yeah, see, normally, and I guess this is a piece that we'll have to figure out, the arena, if there was a recommendation from the arena manager or the pool manager to increase or decrease fees, the decisions were made at the committee table, and we took the recommendations, and then it was approved. So I don't know, how does it go forward now? Like,
Yeah,
we
why is
approved
it
those
coming to
changes.
bylaw?
Well, because it has to be added to the fees bylaw.
And then the fees bylaw will come back to council for approval.
Okay, but they're not in place yet till we go over them.
Yes.
So if they don't agree with them, they have the option to not agree with them, and then I guess this council then has final say on those fees. We have to approve any changes to the.
The committee should take the recommendation.
That's right. So our recommendations
The
based
bylaw
on.
review committee should take the recommendation as the recreation.
It's a math error, like it's
It's a what?
a math error, unless it's a misprint, but there's only like $36 difference between a 6 months pass and a year pass.
Well, yeah. So maybe we need to take a look at that. You can talk to Brian.
Come and see me tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, okay, no, it won't happen tomorrow. I'll call you.
Anything else for?
Well, I was just wondering,
Because I'm reviewing this for the bylaws, so I just want
But for
this,
sure, if you found an error, you should
absolutely.
certainly talk to Brian about it, and if
Before
Galen needs to be.
Thursday's meeting, you got a meeting Thursday?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Councillor Gilroy.
Just two quick things. We've been hearing, I may have missed it, but how's it going with the investigation into our school joint use agreement and the funding model that you guys were concerned about?
We have no
That they were-
updates.
No updates?
No, I believe that whether it be Nancy and administration in general, or Shanda, trying to reach the school divisions for meeting dates, and we haven't been able to find a successful one, and we still have not been updated as to all of the recreational activities, because that was what we pushed right at the beginning of, in September, we said that, that was one of our challenges, is that we've sort of lost track of the flavor of the agreement when recreation stopped looking after volleyball and badminton and all that, because before recreation knew about when volleyball was, and when a new person came to town, they could call recreation and we can tell them, this is what time you can swim, this is what time you can skate, and here you can play volleyball, and now we can't, and we're still no further ahead. We haven't been. They were supposed to supply us a list of the activities and the contact numbers,
So we can add them to our website.
so we can add them to the website, and we haven't, because we said minimally that's the value we're getting from the school division in the joint use agreement. We want to see that like we like the idea that the joint use agreement is very helpful for the schools, and that they have great access to the pool and the arena, and they use it well. But I mean that was the piece of the agreement that was supposed to come back, and you're right, we don't have that updated. But it's not for lack of trying, and we're still working on it.
So,
Well,
just take,
are you done, Councillor Gilroy? Because you had one question.
I do
Any
have
other ones?
One other question.
Okay, and then we can go to.
And that is, what is the policy on the pool and or arena on, especially the pool, I was thinking more because they're more vulnerable there, of videotaping and taking pictures? What if someone takes pictures with their cell phone and things like that? Do we have a policy in place to protect others? Like, for example, we put a policy up here to say no videotaping our people at work here. But more vulnerable is you have a lot of young children and or adults or that use the change rooms and things like that. And we do have a video or camera tech people who like to take pictures. How do we protect our patrons? Do we have a policy in place? And if not, would you please look into one?
Yeah, I'm not aware. We'll talk to administration. Probably would know more than.
not a bad idea.
Yeah, I mean, and there very well could be. I don't really know. I would, and anything that is part of the joint use, and that's probably what we were just discussing, could very well be under what the school uses, because I mean they all have to sign forms before they can go off
I'm
the
thinking
property.
any patron that,
Yeah.
because,
But yes,
you know what?
we can look into it.
If you take pictures, you could easily get other people in there, and then.
I see
that's-
Mr. Martin feverishly writing it down,
Yeah.
so we'll look
So I
into
just
it.
want to protect all our patrons, especially our children,
Yeah.
for unauthorized use.
Councillor Long.
No.
Change your mind.
Yeah, no, I'm good. No.
Oh, okay. Any other questions for Councillor Rose? Seeing none.
Move my report for information.
All those in favor? Carried. And Councillor Stenhouse.
No report at this time.
Okay. All right, with that, we have one item before, but we need a motion to go, not in camera, what do we call it? In closed session.
Okay, well, I'll do it.
Okay, Councillor Gilroy.
I make the motion that council move into closed session at 9:23? 9:22? What? Pick a time. As per Section 25 of the Freedom of Information and Protection Act, and in accordance with Section 197(2) of the Municipal Government Act.
Okay, I'll take 10 minutes.